Alright, you're chilling with your IMs, jamming out to your favorite music, but then
The crushing weight and responsibility of life.
makes its way back to you. And you have to put the IMs down and, go take care of your stuff. But you can't just let them sit outside like that, lest dust and humidity breaks it, or like it drops to the floor or something. Well, today we're gonna be looking at a bunch of IEM storage types, from simple stuff like, just a pouch to bigger and hopefully better solutions like hard cases. No dilly-dallying, let's get started. So first, we have pretty much the standard, I guess you can call this the baseline form of storage. You just have your usual carrying pouch. The construction is fairly simple. It's usually just, a fabric pouch with a knotted bit of rope on the top that you can use to sort of close up the opening when you put your IMs in. Of course, differences in material can result in a pouch being less or more premium. You can have something like this blonde pouch, which feels like a potato sack in texture. It's like a dust magnet, and the wires and materials have all flaked up to their individual strands. Yuck. And then you have sort of the fake leather type of materials, and there's a good fake type of leather and there's a bad type of fake leather. Something like this pouch from the final E3000 feels super nylon-y and glossy. I'm not a fan. But then you have the good stuff like this pouch from the Fayou Hibiscus, or this thing from the Moodrop SSP, and I probably show the SSR as well. It feels more premium, and it's decently smooth whilst not attracting much dust. And up in the best tiers of pouches, it's these ones, again, also from Moodrop and Fayou actually, which have a fabric-like material. It's smooth, it doesn't feel too flaky, and only attracts a small amount of dust. But it looks quite nice, and the insides are decent too. And finally, you have this thing, which is a pouch I got from the Theo Q1 Mark II. It's made out of this padded netting material, so it actually has a bit of a shock absorption quality to it. The outside feels a little rough due to that, but the insides are decent. It's soft, unlike the front. But I guess they cost a bit more too, these kind of bags. The advantage that these pouches bring are that they are generally cheaper than stuff like a semi-hard case or a hard case, making them quite a cost-effective solution for IM storage. Secondly, they're often included in most IMs, so right off the bat, it's easy access to the storage medium. And then the third thing is that because they're essentially just a few sheets worth of material, they don't take up much of physical space, being only as big as your stored IMs will be. Having said that, they do also have some shortcomings. First of all, they are just pouches, and so they offer limited protection to your IMs, often being really only good enough for guarding against like dust and maybe some very slight drops. And since they're not really solid, these types of pouches aren't really stackable. So in most cases, you'll just be leaving it strewn out in your storage area, Okay, so next you have the semi-hard carrying cases. Something like this. They're a nice middle ground between the pouches and the hard cases, because they're usually in a solid shape, but they have some give if you press or pull on them. The open and close mechanism is usually in the form of a zipper. So it's more solid than the wire pull system of the pouches. Now, some of the cool semi-hard cases I've seen is firstly the ones from the ones from Faio. Because man, they just make some great cases that come bundled with some decently cheap IMs and earbuds too, which gives them all the more value. These cases, they kind of look like crispy dumplings, and I have one that's textured in this weaved black material, feels great, and another which is a more brownish, more finer weaved thing. They're both, very nice to hold. They have decent space to store your earphones and a little net compartment for your ear tips. So I don't remember where I bought these from or what they are branded as, just that it's a decent case. They have this black matte texture, a rectangular shape, and a slightly bigger size than the Faio cases themselves. They're quite nice actually, though if you use them a lot they kind of look deflated after a while. You don't call them, semi-hard for nothing. My favorite though is the case from the Moondrop S8, Blessing 2, and Blessing 2 Dusk. It's got this sort of fakey leather, but it actually does feel quite nice. The gray color, it doesn't show well on camera, but it looks quite classy in real life. It's also a little bigger than the two other cases. Oh, actually maybe just the Faio case too. But for the black case you have a bit more like space in terms of like the thickness. Vertical space actually, sorry. You can store your bigger IMs with bulky cables if you want using this case, thanks to that. So there's a lot to love about semi-hard cases. They offer decent protection up to like decent falls thanks to their more rigid shell. They also tend to get somewhat better feeling materials, which can also result in a better build quality. Semi-hard cases can also be stacked, so they can also have a bit of vertical space to be used. But of course they also present some pitfalls, such as, of course, they will be a bit more costly in price. And for all that said about their increased rigidity, they have limited water repelling ability. So they will be pretty much soaking wet if exposed to liquid for too long. Which means if you're going outside on a rainy day, don't bring your IMs with you in a semi-hard case like I did. So at the top of the case food chain, you have hard cases. They're often made with like strong materials like metals or at least pretty substantial plastic. Two of the form factors I have are the sort of pelican case profile and the two-piece profile. For the two-piece profile, I have a round one, which as you can see comes from iBaso, and the squared off one is just some generic thingy. These are made of metal, I think, and they usually have decent insides with like a sort of rubber ring as well as some padding below. And yeah, they just look very nice and classy. It's a good medium of storage for IMs. And then you have the Pelican case style. I don't have an actual Pelican case, as those are kinda out of my budget. So I tried buying some cheap knockoffs from KZ, and boy oh boy, it sucks. These KZ Pelican style cases are made of this cheap hollow plastic. The insides are just two barely glued pieces of styrofoam, and although they're actually like quite decent padding, it just doesn't look premium, It's like barely glued on here. The clasps themselves are also really stiff, I feel like flipping my nails out just trying to open them. Like, oh, not recommending them even if they're cheap. I learned that the hard way because I bought like 6 of these, so now I'm stuck with them. Now this, I would have a little more confidence over. This is the Theo HB1. It's made of actually high quality, substantial feeling plastic. Has a cool, fancy pattern in the top box with the Theo logo. And the top lid also has a higher quality styrofoam that's actually properly glued down. And below that, you have this silicone tray for like extra shock protection, I guess. The clasp mechanism though, it doesn't feel that great. Ugh, it's a little stiff. And this case is kind of small for IMs with chunkier cables, so I mainly use them as a tip box. Being a hard case means that your IMs will be quite decently protected when stored in them, thanks to the rigid outer shells. They're also very stackable, so if you have multiple of them, you can stack them up, and it makes for a very neat and space-saving storage solution. With the sort of clasp mechanisms and the 2-piece thingies, I feel like they'll have a bit better protection for water ingress. And it helps that the materials, they don't get soaked up like the semi-hard cases. However, with these, you'll tend to pay a decent price to get them. And their rigidness means that there's no sort of leeway or like wiggle room to put something a little bigger than their confines would allow. Alright, we've gone through what I can identify as the 3 main types of carrying and storage mediums for your earphones. Now, I know that, shoving your monitors just right into your pocket can be a lot more convenient, and it's quite tempting, but you do not want a situation where you just lost some like very expensive IM because the connectors were kind of loose and one of the housings just slipped out of your pants pockets and you lost that. You don't want that to happen, trust me. And just get a good storage case because it can last you a long time and will help prolong the life of your beloved IMs. So hopefully, this look through the world of storage cases and pouches and all that will have helped you identify the best means to store or carry your IMs. And it would seem we have reached the end of this video. As always, I'll leave the links to the music that I used in the description. I'll also, check the Eartip impressions document. I'll have probably updated it with a few more entries as well. Of course, I'll leave my links to Patreon down there, so if you want to support me, or if you want these reviews to come in faster, or just give me the budget to actually buy stuff in for review, then that's where you can donate to me. Of course, shout outs to my tier 2 patrons. It's still 78 Dragon. Thanks for supporting me. And otherwise, like the video if you like it. Comment down below if you have any suggestions. If you know about any other cases, you can share your experience down there. If you want to see more of this type of content, please do subscribe to my channel. If nothing else, then thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. This is Lemarion, signing off.